Hey YouTube, Casual Brews here with my Week 10 NFL picks. Gonna try to get through this a little quicker than usual. As I've touched on my recap of last week, I'm a little under the weather. Um, yeah, coming off a really bad week last week. I went 12 and 16 overall. Could have been worse, I guess. Again, I did it actually. I think 8 and 6 on the point totals, but it was really bad against the spread. So yeah, worst week I've had. I think after a 500 week the week before, and then I think it was 3 winning weeks in a row before that. So yeah, it took a little extra time making these picks, just thinking things through. In hindsight, looking back at some of my picks last week, it was kind of a couple square picks, couple just things that seemed too obvious in hindsight. So yeah, get right into it. Thursday night game, we got Ravens 7.5-point favorites at Miami. Yeah, I just think Ravens had a close win, obviously, over the Vikings. Miami, ugly win against Houston last week. I don't know. I just don't think Miami's very good. They kind of won an ugly, sloppy game against the Texans. I think this is a game where, going into Miami, I think Lamar Jackson plays pretty well, and the Ravens play pretty well on the road anyway. But I think this is an easy place to come in, and for the Ravens to kind of put up a good beat down over the Dolphins. They're in a tough division. They need to play well every week. The Browns kind of maybe coming back around a little bit. Pittsburgh still looking all right. Cincinnati, hard to say there. But yeah, I think the Ravens need a big game here to stay on pace in that division. So I think they do that, and they cover 7.5. Also like the over 46.5 in this game. I think the Ravens are due for a big, just a real big flex your muscles, put up a ton of points, blow a team out kind of game. So I like them to score in the 30s themselves, and Miami to kind of maybe find a couple scores late in the game to hit that over. Next up, we got Atlanta 10-point underdogs at Dallas. Dallas coming off a loss, bad loss really. There's reason to believe they have a bounce back and put up a good performance, but I think 10 points is a lot to give a Falcons team Falcons, I don't think I've really done well picking on them this year. I've picked against them, they've won. I've picked them to win, they've lost like they did against Carolina. I just like what I saw with Atlanta against the really tough Saints, especially Saints defense. I don't think Dallas' defense any better than the Saints, so I don't know. I think Atlanta's found something a little bit. They had that tough loss against Carolina, but I think overall they're maybe not a competitor, obviously, but they're a tough team. They'll be kind of right around, I think, the 500 mark all year, and I like them to keep this game close. Maybe not win, but I like them to keep this game within 10 points. I like what I'm seeing from Matt Ryan this year, and Falcons defense is a little better than it has been in years past, I think, too. So I like the under 55 as well. I just think that's, again, really high number. Two teams, like Dallas's defense kind of got a little bit overrated, I think, throughout the course of the year so far. But they're still solid defensively, and Dallas's offense showed me they're kind of maybe struggling a little bit with Dak coming off only a week off that he had, but until I see it again, Dallas maybe has been a little bit exposed offensively. So yeah, I like under 55 here. This gets too high of a number for neither team being really that bad defensively. So yeah, I like the under. And then we got Cleveland +1 at New England. This will be a good game. Cleveland obviously had a huge win over Cincinnati. Really dominated them on both sides of the ball. I don't think they will obviously have as easy of a task against the Patriots. Patriots team that's found something on both sides of the ball. They're running it well. Mac Jones is making enough plays. He's kind of game managing, but he's also capable of making big throws too when needed. So I like New England in this one, -1. Basically a pick 'em, but I like the -1. Yeah, I just think Cleveland due to fall back to earth a little bit. They've kind of been hot and cold this year. Haven't really strung a consistent stretch of games together. Yeah, I just think New England's just found something. They're going to be right up there, and they'll challenge Buffalo for the division, and I think make the playoffs too. So give me New England, and I like under 45. Cleveland's defense has played outside of that, like, game against the Chargers where they got, whatever it was, 45 points put up on them or something. I don't know. Overall, Cleveland's defense has been pretty good. So is New England's. A November game in New England, it feels like a low-scoring kind of grinded out game. New England is plenty capable of playing those kind of games. So are the Browns. There's some questions. I don't know Nick Chubb, if he's going to be. I think he is in COVID protocol, but he's vaccinated, so there's a chance he'll play. But especially if he's out, it's going to be a hit to their offense. I like kind of a low under 45 in this one, honestly. Next, we got the Jets at home. They're 13-point underdogs to the Bills. Bills have kind of looked shaky on offense the last couple weeks. They still covered against the Dolphins, but barely. And then they had that disgusting 9-6 loss to Jacksonville. And I don't know. I kind of throw that game out overall when thinking about the Bills, because I think they are still one of the top teams in the AFC. But I don't know. They're struggling a little bit on offense. They maybe the opposing teams have found something in film to kind of neutralize their offense. Maybe it's a little predictable, this and that. I don't know. But yeah, they're struggling to score a little bit. So I think the Jets can keep it within 13, especially at home. I just think a Jets team that's kind of come alive a little bit outside of that. Obviously, a big loss to the Patriots. They've kind of hung in there tough in some games, and obviously beating the Bengals outright a couple weeks ago was big. Yeah, I think 13's a lot. Buffalo should still win this game. I believe they will, but I think the Jets will hang in 13 points. Michael White's back playing. I think 13's too much here for the Bills to get favored by. So give me the Jets plus 13. I also like over 47.5. I know it kind of contradicts what I was saying about Buffalo not being able to score. I just think neither team's defense is really all that special. Jets can be feisty on defense. I just think I could see, maybe the Bills getting a bit of a lead and the Jets kind of showing some pride, fighting back a little bit. I don't know. I don't love the pick, but you got to pick every game, so I'll take over 47.5 here. But if I'm wrong, I wouldn't be surprised at all. Next up, Detroit at Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's 9.5-point favorites. I like Pittsburgh in this one to cover. I don't know, Detroit. A lot of people kind of comb through Detroit's schedule and try to find that one win they'll get. It's not going to be here. I think Pittsburgh's kind of coming to life a little bit. They obviously had a scare against the Bears, but I think that was more due to just Justin Fields caught fire in a bottle for a few drives there, and I think Pittsburgh is still pretty solid. They're in a competitive division. They're right in the thick of it. I think they're going to put forth a good effort here, and their defense is really good. So I just think they'll make it hard on Detroit to score. So I like Pittsburgh minus 9.5. I like the under 42.5 here. Like I said, I just think Pittsburgh's defense is really good, and Detroit will struggle to score, and henceforth, they won't be able to put forth enough points on their side to bring that total over. So give me Pittsburgh on the under. Next up, Jacksonville and Indianapolis. Jacksonville's 10.5-point underdogs going to the Colts. I guess I don't really put a lot of stock into that 9-6 ugly game that Jacksonville won over Buffalo. I just think weird games like that happen a couple times a year. So give me the Colts to cover 10.5. Colts also tight division. The record isn't great, but really the AFC South is, with the Titans, losing Derrick Henry, they obviously still have a big lead in that division, but who knows? I'm sure the Colts are hoping they kind of fall back to earth a little bit. So I think Colts are still kind of alive in that division a little bit. So I like them to play hard here. I just don't think Jacksonville's, that one weird game aside, if they'd have beaten Buffalo in a more high-scoring game, I would put more stock into it because it was a 9-6 ugly game. Bills really just shot themselves in the foot, turnovers, this and that. I don't put a lot of stock into it. I still think the Jaguars are one of the worst teams in the league. I think the Colts get the cover here, especially at home. And I like the over 47.5. Colts defense just they have one of the better defensive players in the league in Darius Leonard, but outside of that, there's not really a lot to hang your hat on. I don't know. I just think Jacksonville can maybe get a couple late scores, make it respectable. At least try to, but I could see the Colts scoring a lot of points on their own. We saw Seattle with Geno Smith have no problem 2 weeks ago scoring on Jaguars defense. So, yeah, I just think this game squeaks over that 47.5. Next, we got New Orleans, Tennessee. Should be a good game here. We got the Saints 3-point dogs at Tennessee. Yeah, I think it's almost one of those too good to be true lines. I mean, New Orleans coming off a loss against Atlanta. Does that say that almost makes it seem like good for Atlanta, because now, being that the Saints just lost to them, they're only 3-point underdogs at a Tennessee team that just killed the Rams. It's a crazy line. It's at Tennessee too, so I mean, it's almost, it begs the question if, like, the Saints defense being a good unit, can they figure out how to stop a Derrick Henry-less Titans team better than the Rams can? I don't know. It's a bizarre line. It's almost like it's too good to be true, so take the Saints here, but I don't know. I just have, from what I've seen, eye test, this and that. I mean, if Jameis was playing, I'd probably be tempted to take the Saints, but still going Trevor Siemian, Taysom Hill, some kind of combination of that. I don't know. It's just Tennessee seems like it's too easy to pick, so I'm not going to overthink it. I'm just going to pick the Titans here to keep rolling. Could argue maybe a possible letdown spot coming off of a huge win against the NFC contender like the Rams. It's a little bit maybe harder to get up for this one, but I don't know. They're well coached. I don't think Vrabel is going to let them overlook anyone. Saints are still a feisty team. They go win-loss, 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 it feels like. So, yeah, it could be due for a win, off the loss to the Falcons, but I don't know. I'm not going to overthink it too much here. I just think it's too obvious. Got to go with the Titans -3. Over 44.5 as well. I know Tennessee's defense played good, really good, amazing last week, but overall this year they've been pretty bad. Saints defense is good, but then they also let up 27 points to the Falcons last week, so I think 44.5 is definitely doable, so I'm going to take the over in this game. Next we got Tampa Bay, Washington. Tampa Bay, Bucks 10-point favorites at Washington. I had a hard time with this one. I mean, you got the rematch of the playoff game last year where Washington covered that game, close game. Tampa Bay obviously getting the win. Tough one, honestly. 10 points. You want to maybe feel like, okay, the Washington team that we saw last year and in the playoffs that gave them a close game is going to come to play again in this one, but I just haven't seen it this year from Washington. They've been very underwhelming. It's hard not to take the Bucks here, coming off a bye. I think both teams coming off a bye, right? But yeah, I just like the Bucks, come out and just they're good on both sides of the ball. Coming off a bye, they'll be healthier, I think, as well. Injuries have kind of been an issue for them at times this year. Yeah, it's like the Bucks on both sides of the ball to really dominate in this game. Washington just doesn't have the same life to them that they did last year in the playoff game. So I don't know. I'm not going to try to picture that they're going to come out with that same kind of effort. It's just what I've seen from this Washington team this year. It's just not the same, and I have no reason to believe it won't stay that way. So, yeah, give me the Bucks -10. And the under 51.5. Washington's offense hasn't looked very good. Their defense hasn't either, but I just think, Bucks are going to play well defensively here. Hold a bad Washington team to probably like 13 points, something like that, and I like the under 51.5. Next, we got Chargers, Vikings, LA 3-point favorites at home, Minnesota 3-point underdogs going to LA. Another one that almost seems too easy. Vikings keep getting these close losses. You feel like, okay, maybe they got to win one of these sometime. Chargers, off a couple bad losses, they had a nice-ish win against the Eagles, covered that game. I think they continue on the right path here. Get back to the kind of Chargers we saw early in the season, kind of be dubbed like a contender in the AFC, before those couple bad losses they had. So, yeah, I like the Chargers to cover -3. I think Minnesota morale's got to be pretty bad right now. They can't seem to find a win lately. Losing that Dallas game was killer, and then obviously blowing the lead to the Ravens, double-digit, I think 14-point lead they had in the fourth quarter. Lamar brought them back. Obviously, Ravens won in overtime. Minnesota had a chance in that game too. They got the ball in overtime. Both teams traded possessions, and Ravens' second possession, they won the game in overtime. That's just killer. So I don't know how Minnesota gets up from that, really. I mean, I don't know. I like the Chargers to sort of get back to basics here. If these two teams played in like week 4 when Chargers were rolling, this game would be, I think Chargers would be 7-point favorites easy. So I like Chargers -3, and I like the over 53 as well. Chargers defense still isn't very good. Minnesota's is kind of off and on. It's like okay at times. I just think Chargers continue to find, that early season mojo offensively. They'll put up probably 30 points on their own. Minnesota is also capable of scoring. It's going to be a shootout, I think. So take the over 53. Next up, we got Carolina, 10.5-point underdogs at Arizona. I thought Kyler being out last week was the difference maker. So when I picked the San Francisco shitty-ass 49ers in that one, clearly it's not as big of a deal as I would have thought. I mean, I think whether he's playing or not, if he's playing, he's going to be a little rusty, gimpy maybe. I like Carolina's kind of screwed me a couple picks. When I've picked them, they've lost. I think 10.5 is like a little too high. I just think Carolina's defense is still really solid, and I think that alone can kind of keep them sort of in this game. I definitely think the Cardinals will win, but I think 10.5. I think the Cardinals defense alone can, and especially if they play PJ Walker. They were out there saying today that they're open to anything quarterback wise. I wouldn't say they've seen enough of Sam Darnold. I'm sure if they can't figure anything else better, they'll go back to Darnold. It'll let him at least start the game, and I'm sure he'll be on a short leash. They'll have PJ Walker waiting in the wings if needed, and I just think it's a desperation game for the Panthers, really, coming off a loss to New England. They're still like afloat in the NFC standings thanks to that 3-0 start they had. Obviously, they've been pretty bad since then, but they're still kind of afloat, and their defense is still pretty good. I think they can keep this game close, at least maybe even to like 7 to 10 points. They'll lose by perhaps. So give me Carolina with the points, 10.5 here. I definitely picked too many favorites last week. A lot of underdogs won, and coincidentally, that's why I was so bad against the spread. I picked mostly favorites. So I don't know. I like this underdog. I like this underdog pick this week. Carolina. I also like under 44. Just like I said, Carolina's defense is pretty good. Whether or not Kyler Murray plays, like if he plays, he's obviously still going to be a little better than Colt McCoy, but he's a little gimpy probably still. I don't know. I just think Arizona's defense is decent as well. They're not bad at all. So this just feels like a low-scoring kind of close game that Arizona maybe pulls out late. So give me under 44. Next up, we got the Seahawks, 3.5-point underdogs, going to Lambeau Field in Green Bay. Rodgers should be playing this week. Sorry, I had to pause the recording for a second there, but like I was saying, Rodgers should be playing. There's a chance he doesn't, but either way, Russell Wilson will be playing. He's going to be back. Already practicing. He's full go for this game at Green Bay. It's not somewhere he typically plays well, but call me a homer. But objectively speaking, I just think the Seahawks have played well they've covered 3 straight games. Even those 2 losses they had, Saints and Pittsburgh back-to-back, they were close. They were in position to win both of those games with Geno Smith. Geno Smith had the ball in his hands to win the game or at least tie each game. And Russell Wilson, got to say there's a pretty good chance they win at least one of those games. So I think their defense is coming along a bit too, which is big. Rodgers, week off, COVID, this and that. Could he be a little rusty? Maybe. It's tough because it's, again, not somewhere Russell Wilson and the Seahawks play well. I think he's 0-4 in Lambeau Field in his career. So, but, I don't know. I feel like he's going to be hungry. The defense is going to be hungry. You hear all the talk about how they don't play well there. There's a lot of different guys going to be on that field than there were in the last couple times they've lost in Lambeau. So I like the Seahawks to cover at bare minimum here. If Green Bay wins, it's going to be close. Yeah, I just think Seattle's defense has come around a little bit. They've looked good lately. Russell Wilson being back will be an extra added boost to the team. So I like Seattle at bare minimum with the points. I'm just going to bet, just to make it easier, I'm just betting points. I mean, even there's some of these games that are underdogs I may feel like might win, I'm still just going to go points here in all the games, make it simple and easy for everyone. So yeah, Seattle plus 3.5 is the pick. And then under 49.5, I just think, like I said, Seattle's defense is coming around. They look pretty good lately. If Rodgers plays, which I think he probably will, could be a little rusty. You know, he himself said Green Bay's kind of been stuck scoring like 24 points each week that he has played, and then, you know, obviously with Jordan Love being much worse than Aaron Rodgers, he only scored 7 points against Kansas City. I just think it'll be kind of a low-scoring, kind of grinded-out type of game. Could be cold, could be a lot of run game, tried to establish, run the clock out, this and that. So, yeah, I like under 49.5 pretty comfortably, honestly. Next, we got Denver. It's 2.5-point favorites at home against Philly. Eagles. Yeah, I like what I saw from Denver last week. The Eagles have been playing well lately. I think that's why they're only getting 2.5 here, not more, off of Denver's impressive win over the Cowboys. Yeah, I just think Denver. I think the Eagles. I think what Denver's doing, like when I watch Denver as opposed to the Eagles, they look a little more convincing. Still not a huge believer in Teddy Bridgewater, but they seem to found a good formula with him. Run the ball, you know, maybe get the box a little heavier up front, and then opens up something down the field for him. He's got a decent arm. He doesn't look very strong, but he threw a couple nice deep balls in that game against the Cowboys. So they may have found something with him. They got really good pieces though. 3 really good receivers: Judy, Sutton. What's his name? I said it in my recap video. Tim Patrick. That's it. Tim Patrick. And a good run game. Pretty good offensive line as well. Defense is also very good. If they just get consistent good quarterback play, they can hang with anyone, I feel like, Denver. So, yeah, I like them to cover here. I think more or less the Eagles are what they are. They're like a 500 team that's, you know, with all the draft picks they got, really more built for the future. So I like the Broncos to maybe find something here and go on maybe a late season run. They're right in the thick of that division. Again, just like Carolina, thanks to their 3-0 start, they were able to withstand those, you know, 3 losses or whatever they had in a row. So they may have found something in Denver. So I like them pretty comfortably here. Minus 2.5 against the Eagles. Also under 45 as well. Denver's defense is just quite good. With their run game and that, they're, as they have done multiple times this year, comfortable playing a low-scoring, grinded-out kind of game. This could be like 23-17 or something like that. Eagles, it's hard to really get a gauge on them. Like I said, eye test, they don't look great, but they have a couple nice wins on their resume as also as a couple bad losses. So, yeah, I like the under there. Next up, one of my favorite games on this card so far, Vegas Raiders and the Kansas City Chiefs. Chiefs are 2.5-point favorites at Vegas. Yeah, it's been week after week with the Chiefs. You're waiting for them to turn the corner and get back to the Chiefs that won the Super Bowl, that were in the Super Bowl last year. Just really come out and dominate a team, win like a 40-14 kind of drubbing, and it just hasn't happened. It's been weeks now. We've been waiting and seeing the Chiefs would turn a corner, and they haven't. So I think it's been long enough. I don't think, maybe they just won't. I don't know. Their defense has come around a little bit, but again, they haven't had to play like a really good offense. Like they played, obviously, the Jordan Love Packers, Giants. Yeah, so I think the Raiders are more capable offensively than either of those opponents. So I like the Raiders in this one, plus 2.5. I do like them to win the game, but just for the sake of keeping an even number of picks, I'm going to just go with the point spread here, 2.5. But I will bet them to win the game as well. Yeah, Raiders coming off a tough loss. It's kind of been the theme on some picks that have burned me. I've gone with some teams off of like, oh, they look good last week, I'll pick them again this week, and they haven't. Whereas some teams that have had bad losses come out and win the next game, like like Atlanta, for example. Yeah, so I'm just thinking the Raiders coming off a kind of tough loss against the Giants. Giants may not be that bad after all. I think they bounce back here, and divisional game. These teams always play each other so tough. At least in the last couple of years, anyway. Raiders also have Kansas City's number. They won one of those games for sure last year. I want to say they won both, but they definitely won one for sure, and at bare minimum were close in the other one. But yeah, I like the Raiders here, plus 2.5. And I like the over 52. I mean, it is kind of hard to say. Like, I know I just said, like, waiting for the Chiefs to figure it out, but these two teams like to play the high-scoring games. I think the Raiders' defense isn't that great, so maybe Kansas City will figure some things out offensively against them. And yeah, the Raiders can score, in bunches as well. So I like the over 52 here. I don't love it because, like I said, Kansas City's offense seems really disjointed. Raiders did just play a low-scoring game last week, but I feel like these two teams get together on a Sunday night, especially. Sunday night games just seem to be point city. So yeah, over 52 is the hesitant pick here. Lastly, the Monday nighter, Rams -4 at San Francisco. Yeah, easiest pick of the week for me. I forgot to do one last week, but I did the week before, which lost my lock of the week. This is my lock of the week here. This is the no-brainer, lock it in. Rams, embarrassing, tough loss to the Titans. I feel like they'll come back with a vengeance here against the divisional rival that got exposed, lost by 2 touchdowns to the Cardinals. I repeat, 2 touchdowns to the Colt McCoy Cardinals. I know I just said, like, teams can often bounce back from bad losses, but that's if they're a well-coached team. I don't like Kyle Shanahan. I don't believe in him. I don't believe in the 49ers. I've trashed them all year. Bet on them for probably the first time last week, and it burned me, obviously. So take the Rams in a blowout here. Off that tough loss to Tennessee, they're going to figure things out, and they're going to come out angry. And the Niners haven't won a home game in like over a year and a half or something too. So -4 is insane, even more insane than the Titans -3 line. Take the Rams in a blowout. Yeah, that's my lock of the week by a million. Yeah, Rams -4 against the shitty 49ers. So yeah, book it. And over 49. I think the Rams on their own will put up 40 points in this game, possibly. So take the Niners, take the over. Or not, take the Rams to kill the Niners. And take the over 49. So 49ers, 49. Yeah, it's over for the Niners, and it's over 49.